Tequila to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback podcast time. Welcome to the show, everyone. Time to talk about free agent running backs. Not often that we talk about free agent running backs when it comes to the 49ers. They have traded for Christian McCaffrey, right? They had Raheem Mostert. They had a lot of really big weapons at running back. And now they're looking to add some more to the stable. They drafted last year Jordan James, and he's in the mix. A couple years ago, they drafted as well. They've got players that are within the room right now that, yeah, they could potentially rely upon. But is Isaac Guerendo going to be a consistent contributor for this team? What do we know about Jordan James? And there's already been reports that the 49ers are very much excited about what Jordan James can provide. They're going to add a lot more to his plate in 2026. But I think that there's also room to add to the stable. You got 3 running backs. Normally you come into camp with 5 or 6. Of course, you could address it in the draft or with undrafted free agents. But I think that there's an opportunity to add a veteran to this team. I think you bring in somebody in free agency. I'm not telling the 49ers to go break the bank, and I don't think that they're planning on breaking the bank at running back. So we will discuss some of the guys that are probably in the mix and the guys who are probably priced out because you have Christian McCaffrey. Now, McCaffrey has made it clear, like, he would welcome somebody coming in and taking some of those snaps from him. I think when you look at the usage that Christian McCaffrey had this season, I mean, he blew the doors off every single franchise record when it came to running back touching the football for the 49ers. He nearly got to 1,000 season again. He did a remarkable job with the opportunities that he had. But there's no way that this is sustainable. There's no way the 49ers can keep putting the ball in his hands that many times. They need to add playmakers. We've been talking about wide receiver. We talked about tight end. You've got to add running back. So what type of running back are you going to get? I think is another question. I've seen a lot of conversation going around about the 49ers adding a big bruising back to kind of facilitate a different style opposite of Christian McCaffrey. I think that there is a place for that. My question is, are we sure the 49ers want to go that direction? Jordan James was one of the best inside runners in college football when the 49ers drafted him. He's a short yardage guy. Even though he's not big, that's something that he does. Now, his question has been, how well can he catch the football? And I think Jordan James is going to be just fine. They were very excited about what they saw at his pro day with him catching the football. So I think he's going to be adequate. I think he'll be okay. So do the 49ers go for a big bruising back, a guy like Tyler Allgeier or somebody like A.J. Dillon, right? A big physical imposing running back that complements Christian McCaffrey? Or do they try to find somebody that when Christian McCaffrey's not on the field, you still have a similar skill set to that player? I think that might be the way the 49ers go. I'm still going to talk about Tyler Allgeier because I think that he would be a fun pick. But I think when you look at it, imagine Christian McCaffrey comes off the field and you put somebody out there and they're able to do some of the things that he does, right? They can run good routes. They can catch the football effectively. They're not going to beat Christian, but they could do some of those things. You can still run the outside zone. You can still run the inside zone. So a more complete back. I think that was one of the problems the 49ers had with Brian Robinson, and I think that's why everyone was asking for more and more Brian Robinson, is they wanted to see more carries from him. But when he was on the field, it was a detriment to the passing game. Not because he wasn't a good pass blocker, but because he doesn't really catch the ball in the backfield. So it made defenses look at him and say, hey, we don't have to cover him as much in space. We can man him up. We can put a defensive end on him. There were a lot of things they did where they just didn't worry about it. With Christian McCaffrey, it was all focus all the time. And I'm not saying that the running back they signed is going to have all focus all the time, but if they start manning him up and he starts winning, well, then that will make things easier for the 49ers. So we're going to take a look at the options, what the money will look like for these options, which ones end up being feasible. We're going to talk through it the whole time, right? Figure some things out. And then which guys, the big money ticket items, are probably off the board. I don't think the 49ers invest heavily at running back. They got a big investment with Christian McCaffrey, with Jordan James as well, with what they did in draft capital last year. So I think that they're going to find somebody. We'll see what that money looks like, but this is going to be a fun one. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening to audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network, please give it a 5-star rating if you feel like I deserve it. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel, the title sponsor of 49ers Cutback. So let's get into this. And I was looking at the names on the list, and there's a lot of really, really big names. I think when you start looking at names like Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker, right, those are the guys you're like, wow, those guys are phenomenal. But Breece Hall is going to make $10 million. In fact, Spotrac has him at $10.3 million. I think the chances of the 49ers investing in a running back like Breece Hall at $10.3 million is not realistic. If Christian McCaffrey was moving on, right, if you had that money coming off the books, then yeah, Breece Hall would be phenomenal, right? He would be the guy that could step in and do all the things that you had within Christian's game. He's a younger player at just 24 years old. But Breece Hall is not going to be the 49ers' choice as running back two. And remember, that's what it is. They are running back two. They are the Robin to Christian McCaffrey's Batman. And I know we want the 49ers to run a dual running back system. That would be a lot of fun. Christian McCaffrey is still going to play a lion's share of the snaps. So you've got to find a guy that's willing to come in and not be the number one guy. He's got to be willing to be, 1B potentially. So Christian will still get more snaps, but this guy will be able to get in there and make a substantial contribution to the team. That's what you're looking for. I don't think Breece Hall is going to be one of those guys. That $10 million that you could pay Breece Hall, it could go a different way. You need a defensive tackle. You need a safety. You need a wide receiver, an X-wide receiver. You potentially need a tight end. You need to invest at left guard or, at center. A lot of people want them to improve center. You can't do that if you're paying so much money for running backs. So I think Breece Hall's out. I also think Kenneth Walker's out. I think $9 million for Kenneth Walker, MVP of the Super Bowl. He's a great running back. I've always liked Kenneth Walker, the way he breaks tackles. He's very elusive. He's a tough runner. I think him and Zach Charbonnet had something really great in Seattle. But I think he wants to maximize his second contract, and he's going to try to get as much money as he can. The 49ers are not going to pay $9 million for Kenneth Walker. I don't think that that's an investment that they can make. I also don't think he wants to come in and split carries with Christian McCaffrey, even though Kenneth Walker and Christian McCaffrey have a mutual respect for each other. They really do. Kenneth Walker finding McCaffrey after the game, I thought that was, very class act of him. So I like Kenneth Walker. I like Breece Hall. I don't think that those guys are in the conversation. Anytime we hear $9-10 million, I think realistically those guys are out as options for the San Francisco 49ers. So it's going to come to other players. And I think the one that I want to start with, because I think he makes the most sense for the 49ers. I think that when you talk about a guy that could come in, he could still run the ball effectively, but could do everything you want in the passing game. Pass block's okay. I think that this guy is the number one, or should be the number one target for the San Francisco 49ers. And that is Kenneth Gainwell, running back. He played for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, was formerly with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's 5'9", 200 pounds, just 26 years old, still a young guy. Had a very productive season for the Steelers. He had a 73.8 grade. That was 24th best amongst 55 halfbacks. He had 537 yards and 5 touchdowns. And he wasn't the number one guy, right? Like, he's coming in and getting some of those snaps. He only had 114 carries to get those 537 yards and 5 touchdowns. He had 4.7 yards per carry. That was 14th best in the NFL amongst running backs who qualified. He had himself such a great season. In fact, he added explosive runs. He had 15 10-plus runs this season. So he was a guy that could get it done. He can catch the ball in the backfield. Very talented dude when it comes to not just running the ball, but also catching the ball as well. And I think that that's something the 49ers are really looking at, is a guy that can get the ball and make some plays. And, he catches the ball effectively. And so the 49ers know they need a guy like Kenneth Gainwell that could make some plays. He had 73 receptions. That's right, 73 receptions for 486 yards last year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 6.7 yards per reception, 3 touchdowns. He had 5 touchdowns rushing, 3 touchdowns through the air. He did not drop the ball a lot. He had an 85.9 catch rate. Kenneth Gainwell, to me, is a guy that just makes so much sense. And you look at it financially, he's projected to make $2.9 million. This is the absolute prototypical free agent signing for the 49ers. You add Kenneth Gainwell. If Jordan James shows up and plays so well, right, you can easily play Jordan James. You can use Kenneth Gainwell on third downs. You can kind of mix and match. You can play some interesting things with those guys. But let's say Jordan James is only able to handle some short yardage stuff this year, the way that we thought last year, because he was a touchdown guy at Oregon. Well, then you have Kenneth Gainwell. And the thing about Gainwell is when he comes on the field, Kyle Shanahan doesn't have to adjust what happens with his running back catching the football. If Gainwell needs to go line up in the slot and run routes, he can do that. He's an effective route runner. He's elusive. He's got speed. He can run the outside zone plays. He can run the read option plays. He can run screens. He can do everything that you need within the offense. He's just not going to do it to the level of Christian McCaffrey. But he's still a young guy. I mean, he's going to be 27 years old this year, but still on the right side of 30. You could make a small investment here. I don't know, 1-2 year deal. I'd probably lock him up for a couple years. You're talking, 2 years, $6 million. I think that there's tremendous value there. Then you don't have to count on Isaac Guerendo. Then you count on Christian McCaffrey, Kenneth Gainwell, and Jordan James. And Isaac Guerendo is kind of your fourth guy. Maybe you draft somebody, or the most likely you go ahead and you get somebody, in the free agent market, when you're talking about draft free agent market, right? So undrafted free agent would be a lot of sense here after you sign someone like Gainwell. To me, he's the prototypical one. The price is right. The production is there. And he adds to your offense without subtracting when he comes off the field, which I think is very important for the San Francisco 49ers. I think Kenneth Gainwell is the one I like the most for the Niners. Now, will there be a market for Gainwell? Last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers paid him $1.7 million. He's expected to make $2.9 million. That's an increase. So, to me, that's a dynamite one. And if you didn't watch Kenneth Gainwell a lot last year, go back and watch some of his film. Kenneth Gainwell was good. Really good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think that would be a great 1-2-3 punch for the 49ers. McCaffrey, Gainwell, Jordan James. I like that a lot. If you like betting, bet with FanDuel. Right now, FanDuel has all the bets on college basketball and the NBA. You want to bet, it's the basketball hub right now for betting. Lots of cool stuff available over there. If you want a trip to the finals, you can bet with FanDuel and have an opportunity to win a trip to the finals. So betting, bet with FanDuel, the title sponsor of 49ers Cutback. So let's talk about some more options at running back. I think Kenneth Gainwell is the number one, but he's not the only one. I think you look at a guy that's going to be a little bit more expensive, but kind of built the same way. I mean, this dude has got a lot of ability. And I think that when he was first looked at coming out of college, out of Clemson, people thought this is a Christian McCaffrey kind of guy. And that's Travis Etienne. I mean, there was the conversations about Travis Etienne playing slot receiver in the NFL. Kind of the same conversations people had about Christian McCaffrey, right? If he moves to slot receiver, he could probably still be a Pro Bowler. Now, Etienne's not as good of a receiver as Christian McCaffrey. But last year, when the offense changed in Jacksonville, it felt like he got more and more comfortable with how to play NFL football. And I think that the system that he got put in is very much like Kyle Shanahan's system, so I think he would adapt really well. But he had 260 carries last year for 1,107 yards. Very good. Over 1,000-yard rusher and 7 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns at 4.3 yards per carry. He had himself a real big season. He was very effective making plays in the run game. And you need guys, that can do something. Now, he's a little bit more expensive. We'll talk about his money in just a second. But he also added 36 catches for 292 yards and 6 touchdowns through the air. So you're talking about a guy that makes plays in the run game, makes plays in the passing game. Now, Kenneth Gainwell, and this is one of the reasons I love Kenneth Gainwell, his catch percentage was over 80. It was 85%. Travis Etienne, who's a good receiver at running back, 69.2. Show you the value there. Now, Etienne's 6 touchdowns was very impressive at 8.1 yards per clip. But that's why he's expected to make a little bit more money. He's 27 years old, just like Kenneth Gainwell, but he's expected to make $6.8 million. This is the kind of the topper level I think the 49ers would be willing to go. I think they want to go under $4 million. I think that's probably where they want to stay. But if you were going to add a guy that you knew, hey, something happens to Christian McCaffrey, this guy can get it done. Like, we have a very capable running back backing up Christian McCaffrey. I think Travis Etienne at $6.8 million is worth it. And I know a lot of people say, well, what about Kenneth Walker at 9 or Breece Hall at 10? Yes, but that $3 million or even $2.2 million or whatever it ends up being is a lot of money. That's the difference between signing a couple of, priority free agents. You can, potentially sign other guys to other positions. So I do think that money matters. That's why I think this is also the top of what the 49ers would spend. And it's only because you're getting a player like Travis Etienne, who is great insurance for Christian McCaffrey, but also this is the direct comparison to McCaffrey, to where you had, same with Gainwell. You have guys who could step in and get it done. Now, Etienne's a little bit more dynamic running the football than Kenneth Gainwell. That's why you're paying more. You're paying another $4 million because he rushed the ball for over 1,000 yards. You would have essentially two 1,000-yard running backs in your backfield. But this is stretching the bank a little bit, paying Travis Etienne. The question is, can you stretch that money out, right? Make it a little bit lower early. Maybe he eventually takes over for Christian McCaffrey. All those things make sense, but once again, Etienne has to be willing to be 1B to Christian McCaffrey's 1A. Is he willing to do that? We know Kenneth Gainwell will, but I think Travis Etienne would be a great option for the 49ers. Financially, it's not out of the question. I think when you look at production, it's really not out of the question. I mean, he has had 3 1,000-yard seasons in the 4 seasons he's been in the NFL, and He's been a guy that's been able to consistently carry the ball, 260 plus times. He does a really good job. So he's very talented. He can make a lot of plays. 4.3 yards per attempt is a good number. The 49ers definitely need one of those guys that can make plays for their football team. And he's proven it through time that he can make a lot of plays for a football team. So catching the ball, running the ball, I think Travis Etienne would make a lot of sense at $6.8 million. A little bit more than I think they want to pay for running back too. But you're getting the production, and you're not if you're Kyle Shanahan, having to worry about if Christian's on the field or if Travis Etienne's on the field. Line up in the slot, no problem. Line up out wide, no problem. Catch the ball in the backfield, run the outside zone, run the gap scheme, run inside, no problem. Travis Etienne can do all of it, just not quite to Christian McCaffrey's level, but this is about as close as you can get to finding somebody that does the things that he does on the open market for that price. So Gainwell, Travis Etienne, to me, both of those guys make a lot of sense. Now, here comes a guy who played really well last season. And I've heard others talk about him. I thought that he was just completely too expensive right from the beginning. So I wasn't even going to talk about it. But since it's been being mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and say that this guy is close. At 27 years old, Rashad White is a guy that definitely does the things you want to be a dual threat running back in this league. But $7.5 million, I said I thought that Etienne 6.8 was the top of the line, but I've heard others talking about him. So I wanted to bring up Rashad White. I'm going to say the same things I said about Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. I think he's probably not going to be somebody the 49ers are willing to pay, mainly because I think he's going to get more than $7.5 million. I think he's going to get closer to $8 or $9 million because Rashad White had played really well. Last year, he had an 80.9 grade. He had 4 touchdowns, 572 yards on the ground. He did a really good job helping the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out. And he's good at catching the football out of the backfield. That's something he's been able to do consistently. Now, last year, he just had 218 yards in receptions, but his catch percentage was 88.9. And in fact, in his career, he's usually right around 90%, 89.1 career catch rate. So I think when you look at those things, you've got a guy that's been pretty good. Now, he hasn't had the production of Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne has been better when it comes to production, but You have had a guy who neared 1,000 yards in 2023. Last year had 572 rush yards as he became kind of a guy that was more of a rotational piece in Tampa Bay as they've kind of moved in a little bit of a different direction. So he has been a Robin. He could definitely fit that bill. If you told me Rashad White was going to get $6.5 million or less, I would say, yeah, that would make a lot of sense for the 49ers. I think he would fit working with Christian McCaffrey. I do like the explosiveness of Etienne and Kenneth Gainwell a little bit more than Rashad White, but Rashad White is very solid. He's very Brian Robinson-esque as far as how he runs in the middle, but has the ability to catch the ball in the backfield a little bit better than Brian Robinson. So he's a guy that's been able to stay healthy. He's played in all but one game in his NFL career. So that's something you also look at, is somebody that has longevity, has that ability, and he's still 27 years old. I think Rashad White would be an option. He's a bigger body guy too, 6 foot, 214 pounds. So where you get, Etienne and them are a little bit shorter, still at 200 pounds. Rashad White a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical at the point of attack. So I would say Rashad White financially, if it gets 7.5 or more expensive, I think he's kind of out. But if it gets under that, I think you start thinking about him and Etienne. And what an investment if the 49ers did do that for running back. If they do invest in running back, expect Christian McCaffrey's carries to go down. I think a lot of people would welcome that. I just don't know if they're going to invest that much. Gainwell still, for me, kind of leader in the clubhouse, but they do have options. I think Etienne would be phenomenal. They're willing to pay what it's going to take to get him. But Kenneth Gainwell, for me, still. Tyler Allgeier, and this one is picking up steam, I think, with 49er fans, probably even more when Raheem Morris became defensive coordinator, started looking at the Atlanta Falcons for players that could potentially come over, but partly because Tyler Allgeier was very productive last year. He's only 25 years old, so he's not going to beat you with speed. He is more of a inside runner. It's not that he's incapable of running outside, but he's a guy that doesn't do it as often. But 5'11", 220 at 25 years old. He was a 71.5 grade last year, splitting snaps for the Atlanta Falcons. He had 514 yards and 8 touchdowns. He finishes. That's one of the things he does. He finishes drives inside the end zone. Now, his yards per carry is the lowest of the guys we've talked about so far. 3.6 yards per carry. Something to remember about Tyler Allgeier. Now, is he going to break the bank? I don't think so. I know I had his number up here. Here it is right here. 1.8 million. He's super cheap, right? So Kenneth Gainwell, Tyler Allgeier, those guys make a lot of sense financially because of what their number is. So yeah, Tyler Allgeier is in the realm of possibilities. I think you worry about the 3.6, but if you're looking for the short yardage guy, he's definitely that guy. What you're not getting is receptions out of him, though. And so once again, you run into that Brian Robinson type situation. Is Tyler Allgeier, it's not that he can't catch the ball, but no defense is worried about Tyler Allgeier in space catching the ball. You're not motioning him out, lining him up in the slot. Like, that's not what he does. So if you're willing to kind of move away from that and just use this guy for short yardage, well, then you already, then that'll work. But if you're looking for somebody that's capable of kind of keeping the offense the way it is, drawing attention, being able to win one-on-one matchups with choice routes, that's not Tyler Allgeier. He had 96 yards last year receiving on 14 receptions. He does a good job catching the ball, though. 87.5 catch percentage, 88.4 in his career. And so he's done a pretty good job with that. In fact, in 2024, he didn't drop a single pass. He caught all 13 passes. He was targeted 13 times. He caught 13 passes. So it's like I said, not that he can't catch, but this is not really what he does. He is a guy that operates within the tackle box. He's a guy that wins on short yardage situations, capitalizes on short yardage to get touchdowns. That is needed for the 49ers. But what value do you put on that compared to a guy like Kenneth Gainwell or Travis Etienne or one of those guys? Now, Tyler Allgeier is super cheap. So if you wanted to move on from Isaac Guerendo and you wanted to bring in, a guy like this to take that role, that physical runner, I'm not against it, especially at that price. I think it's super cheap. But I don't know if I would want him to be the consistent running back too, because of the ineffectiveness in the passing game. I think when he's out there, it would change the 49ers offense because defenses would no longer have to focus on the running back position beyond the run game. You're not worried about him killing you in the passing game. Shoot, he had 14 catches for 96 yards. You're not worried about his dynamics in screens or catching the football out of the backfield. So I think in that regard, it definitely changes what you're looking for. So like I said, it's not that he can't do it, but he's just not going to be as effective there. So I don't know about him. I think he's interesting. I think if you're looking for short yardage back, boom, give him the money. If that's what you're looking for, if you're the 49ers, you count on, Jordan James is going to be able to handle, the backup role behind McCaffrey. You feel comfortable with him, and you just want a short yardage guy, a guy that can win on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 consistently. You get into the red zone, he can capitalize on touchdowns. Tyler Allgeier is that guy, especially at $1.9 million. A guy like coming out of the draft a few years ago just became available. Now he's been dealing with some injuries. I think that's definitely stumped him a little bit and stunted his growth over the last couple years, especially. That's Isaiah Pacheco, playing for the Kansas City Chiefs, former 7th round pick. A lot of talent there. Last year he played in 13 games for the Chiefs. He had 462 yards and 1 touchdown. He is able to catch the ball in the backfield, but hasn't been as good at it recently. As you look back at 2023, when they went to the Super Bowl, he had 44 catches for 244 yards and 2 touchdowns. He catches the ball well out of the backfield. Now, that number has dropped every single season he's been in the NFL. He was a 92% catch percentage guy his rookie season. Since then, it's kept going down. This last year with the Chiefs, he was at 73.1%. But part of the reason that I think Pacheco's within the realm of possibilities is the financials. He's set to make $4.3 million. He's super fast. He's only 27 years old. This is a 4.3 40 guy. He runs like his hair is on fire. The question marks are going to be the injuries. And if you have any concerns about that, right, you just punt this and you don't go Isaiah Pacheco. But if you feel like his medical checked out, that he's trending in the right direction, he is a good option to be more of the 1B type player now. Because I don't think he's going to be a number one. I don't think that anyone's going to sign him to be their number 1 running back. Maybe I'm wrong. I think Pacheco would probably fit nice with the Chargers, with Mike McDaniel and kind of the way Harbaugh goes about it. But I think that with his age and with the production that he's had in his career, I think Isaiah Pacheco would make sense. I mean, this is a guy that in his rookie season rushed for 830 yards. In 2023, his sophomore season, he rushed for 935 yards in just 14 games. He would have been a 1,000-yard guy, and he's been productive scoring touchdowns too, except for the last 2 years where he's been injured. Last year, they turned a lot to Kareem Hunt, and he got a lot of carries. So I think that Pacheco brings power. He brings speed. He has athleticism. I think he's an interesting look for the 49ers in free agency, but when it comes down to it, it comes down to injuries. That's why I have him at the end. These are kind of some guys that, hey, they're injured, so they might be even cheaper. Take a look at that. But Pacheco's speed and all that, I really loved him coming out of college, and I still think that he can be a really good player in the NFL if he gets the opportunity. He's been good, and let's see if he can keep it up. He's rushed his normal average yards per carry for his career is 4.4 yards. He's been really good. Now, a guy that I'm going to bring up just for a couple reasons. Number one, it's because Bobby Turner absolutely loved this guy when he was coming out of the draft. Bobby Turner sent him so many text messages. This player actually thought the 49ers were going to take him in the first round. That's how much Bobby Turner was contacting Najee Harris. And Najee Harris is coming off an Achilles injury, and we know what that means for speed, and he already wasn't a fast guy. But if you're talking about Tyler Allgeier, and that's what people have been doing, they've been talking about getting that runner that is very physical at the point of attack. Knowing that Bobby Turner absolutely loved Najee Harris made me think, hey, let's at least kick the tires on Najee Harris, because Najee Harris coming off injury, that's going to scare every single fan off. But it's a guy that has been able to catch the football in the backfield for a big body individual. He is 240 pounds. I mean, this dude, he packs a punch. And he played, of course, in the AFC North for a long time. Last year, he was supposed to play for the Chargers, got injured early in that season. He's still just going to be 28 years old this year. So he's got a couple years before he hits that dreaded year of 30. But his market value, once again, $2.9 million. So you look at Tyler Allgeier, you look at Najee Harris. If you're looking for a big physical running back, that type of mold. Now, we know that I would prefer going with one of those other guys, right? Going with Kenneth Gainwell or Travis Etienne or one of those guys that can catch the ball, more of a dual threat guy. But if the 49ers are looking for this type of back, I think Najee Harris would make a lot of sense. Now, you're probably going to get him financially a lot cheaper than he would be. Last year, $5.2 million by the Chargers. Another reason that he might be interested in coming up north from the Los Angeles Chargers is he is from this area. He is from Antioch, California. So this is a guy that would definitely make sense area-wise, playing in front of his fans here, his family. But it's got to check out injury-wise. But I think when you look at him and Allgeier and the ability they would bring in the physicality portion, if that's what you're looking for, well, then this is a guy that can definitely do it. He can also make catches out of the backfield as well. That's something that he's been able to do in his career. And you just look at what he did in his first 4 seasons at Pittsburgh. He's a volume guy, right? We talked about Brian Robinson and when the 49ers brought him over, a lot of volume. But he had 1,200 yards his rookie season and 7 touchdowns. He had 1,034 yards and 7 touchdowns in his sophomore season. In 2023, he had 1,035 yards and 8 touchdowns. In 2024, he had 1,043 yards and 6 touchdowns. Last year, he only played in 3 games. Never was right, tore his Achilles. And when he catches the ball, he is able to make some plays there. In fact, his rookie season, he caught 74 passes his rookie season, 3 of those touchdowns. In 2022, his sophomore season, he caught 41. In 2023, it was 29. In 2024, it was 36. He's a volume guy. He can touch the ball a ton. So if you're looking for somebody that can take some of the carries off Christian McCaffrey, it's Najee Harris. Now, Najee Harris is not a guy that wins with speed. He doesn't. He's a physical runner, and he's a guy that can eat carries. That is what Brian Robinson was. Najee's just a little bit more dangerous in the passing game. Now, you can't line him up in the slot and expect him to win. That's not his game. So think about him kind of along the lines of a better receiving Tyler Allgeier. Now, the difference is Allgeier has been healthy. Allgeier is just 25 years old. Allgeier is $1 million cheaper. All those things come into account. But I think because Bobby Turner loved Najee Harris so much, he's from this area, and if the price was right, throwing a flyer on him, being running back 2 or 3, a power type guy, is not out of the question. But I thought he was interesting. I thought I'd bring him up here at the end of the episode. I like doing that, bringing up guys at the end that are just, I find interesting and see what happens with it. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Listening audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network. Please give it a 5-star rating. Feel like I deserve it. Of course, leave who you believe the 49ers should target when it comes to running backs. Should they just go with Jordan James? Should they go the draft route? Is there one of these guys you liked? Let me know in the comment section down below. This episode brought to you by FanDuel. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe. Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.